You're live. Good. So a few weeks ago, I had a client in a session ask me if I had a video on what is energy, the fundamentals of energy, energy 101, etc. And I thought, no, I actually don't. Energy to me, I guess I figured it out what it was when I was a teenager because it was giving me problems. So in this video or live stream, I am going to just talk and go over what I perceive energy as, how energy affects us, how it affects our mind, how it affects our physical body, how shielding works and helps protect us, how traumas work, how you can use energy to improve the healing of wounds, mental state, energetic corruption, ungroundedness, etc. So the first question I have to ask myself is, what exactly is energy? And now I pondered this for a while, and I thought the best way to explain energy to someone who has not been getting hit with energy since they were a child, who hasn't really felt it, is if you've ever felt the atmosphere of a room. Okay, if you walk into a room and there's been a large fight, you can only feel the tension in the air, especially if the people are still in the room. You can feel that there's something there. Now, their fight has not had any, hopefully not, has not affected the third dimension unless they've picked up a chair and thrown it at each other. The room is, the live stream begin and end. Hopefully people are not messing with me. The room is, if it has ended, tell me. No, it's on. It's 1 minute 40. Come on, Ali. So, I hope it is anyway. YouTube was giving me technical difficulties. So, the room has not changed, but the energy in the room has. And what has happened is their argument has affected the numerous dimensions in this reality that we're in. As far as I'm aware, there are at least 12 dimensions. There are more, but we seem to really affect the first 12. So, their argument is not affecting the third dimension, but it affects the dimensions overlaid with ours, and that is the energy you're feeling. For example, with atmospheres, there are two kinds of energy. Well, there are two kinds of energy in general. There are positive energy and there are negative energy. There is a big polarity switch between these two. We missed the start. I'll go back and I might have to read it at the start. Anyway, No, you didn't miss the start. YouTube is giving me technical difficulties, okay? So with energy, there is positive and there is negative. And then within positive, you've got nature's energy, your own personal energy, and then negative energy, you've got all the different negative energies. But I will keep it simple. There's positive energy and there's negative energy. So if you go somewhere and it's, like a nice grassy field, it's normally got, or a beach. A beach is probably a better example. Normally got nice positive energy. You feel happier there than you were at home. And negative energy, it's more or less the same. You feel worse in an area with negative energy. You really notice this if you've ever been to, say, a prison. When I was, I'm going to say 13 or perhaps 14, I went on holiday with my family to Tasmania, which is an island in Australia, off the coast. It's still a part of Australia. And there was a prison called Port Arthur, and we went during the day. And nobody else, because they were not sensitive to energy, seemed to be aware that this entire place was insanely haunted. I remember walking around, not even the parts that were prison, but just the normal parts, and there were what I perceived at that time as negative spirits, ghosts, just walking around. And if I used a camera and took pictures, there were just blue orbs everywhere. And I presume that would have been on everyone else's camera as well. But that was... that's pretty full on. Most people, if you enter a room, you do sense the energy, but you tend to disregard it. But the more you energy train, the more you can sense energy. Now, you may say, well, I don't think I want to go to a prison and see all the dead people and feel them. And the answer is no, you don't. It sucks. But then if you go to an area with a lot of negative energy, let's say one of those historical, ritual sites, or just your neighbor's house, and he's got some bad habits, that negative energy will affect you. And most likely, if you've never done any energy clearing, it won't affect you much unless it's really bad, and then you'll just get sick. But if you've begun to energetically clear yourself and you're feeling better, if you go somewhere that's very negative, even if your energy sensitivity is really low, that negative energy will come straight inside of you, unless you are energetically shielded, which I will go over later. So in order to better sense energy, it's as simple as moving your arm. It's something that you don't want to overly complicate. So when people are still telling me they missed the intro. So you do not want to overly complicate energy. You want to keep it as simple as possible. For example, if you think, I want to raise my right arm and grab this, that's going to be harder for you than simply moving your arm and doing it. So don't overly complicate anything when it comes to energy. Now, with atmospheric energy, it is fairly easy once you start energy training to clear it. But the best way, so if you were to say maintain your house, if you want to have an argument with someone, first off, think, do I really want to have this argument? Is this an actual valid use of my time? Will this change anything? Because you may have an argument just because you want to feel better. You normally don't. If it will change something, then it may be worthwhile. But if possible, go outside and you think, well, my neighbors will hear me. Your neighbors will probably hear you inside anyway, all right? They don't care. So go outside and have your argument there is what I'd recommend. But if you've already had the argument in your house, energy tends to dissipate after a period of time. So the air will feel tense for an hour and then it should leave. Now, the more positive an energy is, the longer it will stay, and the other way around as well. With negative energy, the more negative energy is, the stronger the negative emotion, the longer it will linger. I've done house clearings for myself and for other people, and most energy tends to dissipate. The ones that really, really don't is any kind of suicidal energy. You've probably heard about, you buy a house and you find out, oh, someone killed themselves in the backyard. Terrific. And the house is haunted. Now, it's often not the spirit of that person haunting your house, all right? He killed himself. He wanted to get out of there. He probably didn't kill himself to hang around his house. But the suicidal energy, that's about as negative as it gets, really, really lingers. And negative entities, which I'll go over in a moment, come to the house and they feed off that negative energy. And then they think, oh, there's a family here. Let's terrorize them and feed off them as well. And then as the family's fed off, the house gets worse and worse and more negative. In order to clear that, you could energy clear it yourself. If it's not too bad, you could use sage or something like that. But you would find the spot that's really bad in your house and then erase all that negative energy. There'd probably be a black negative energy core, just a big black ball of tar. You would see this in your mind, and I'll go over this in a bit. And then you would erase that and clear it. And then you can stimulate positive energy and make your environment more positive. So I have my notes here. So if I'm looking over there, that's what it is. I've just got some questions. So I'm now going to talk about how physical things create a desirable place for them. Now, suicide, that's a very extreme example, but even arguments, things like that, tend to bring things down. If your house is really bad, and I'm sure you noticed this, if you've ever been depressed, your bedroom and often your whole house is just a disaster, all right? There's dirt, grime. You haven't cleaned under your bed for 5 years. If you've listened to Jordan Peterson, he says very similar to this. This is he essentially says that your room is a reflection of your mind, and it's very true. So if you've got a lot of problem with negative energy entities, in particular, I had a bathroom that had mold in it. Once I cleared the mold, the negative entities dissipated because they tend to reside in and live in the mold. So physically, in the third dimension, you have mold, but energetically, you have succubus entities and Baphomet and just all kinds of negative entities that are the energetic reflection, really, of the mold. And if a house is, say, very haunted, you'll often have mold just appear out of completely nowhere. The walls could ooze green slime. That's a very extreme example. It is possible, though, because the energy from that house is so negative that it's gotten to the point where the negative energy is now affecting the physical world. And when it gets to that point, technology breaks. You get a lot of mold. Just the whole house feels heavy. what you'll notice if you're energy sensitive, and if you're watching this, yes, you got to clean your room, Hero. If you're, you may feel heavy, right? My house growing up in was really cursed. It was terrible, and my family, no energy sensitivity whatsoever, complete energetic disasters, had never done any clearing. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like you don't see the monsters living under the stairs. You don't. The portals in the walls, you don't see any of this. No, they couldn't see any of it. They couldn't feel any of it. So for them, it's like, no, this house is perfect. It doesn't matter to them whatsoever until one day it gets so bad that the electronics start breaking and things like that start affecting them. But until then, they won't feel heavy. They won't feel the energy that is being caused by the house. So if you've got a lot of problem with your house being cursed, especially if you've got a room like a basement with just no window, it's pitch black in there, and often if you have a basement, you'll go in and it feels cold. What this is it is the energy of it could be the fourth dimension, it could be the fifth, negative entities residing in there in this very negative area. There's probably, if you had a light, you'd see mold and dirt and grime just all over the place, probably some insects around. In terms of cockroaches in particular, I had quite a few trouble with them in this house. They tend to be in negative areas. A lot of these very creepy insects tend to love these negative areas. So you're not going to get butterflies in a cursed house. You're going to get cockroaches. But this room will be pitch black, and you'll go in and you'll feel cold. And there's no physical reason. You may think, oh, well, it's because there's no draft. Or no, it's because the negative energy has gotten to a point where it's so dense that it is bringing down the temperature of the room. In terms of energy, it's very easy to tell between positive and negative energy. Positive energy is warm and makes you feel better over a long period of time. And negative energy is cold and makes your hair stands up, your sixth sense activates, and you're feeling fear, all right? Your hair standing up, you get the heebie-jeebies. That's a perfectly normal response. So in order to fix, say, a room that's, a basement, it's cold, and you don't do energy work whatsoever, install a window, get some sunlight coming into the room, get it hitting as much of the room as you can. Install one that's, shooting. I'm not a window installer. Just get as much sunlight into that room as you can, and then give it 2 weeks. Once there's sunlight in there, and once you do that, a lot of the entities will get very angry. You may hear just banging down there. The room may start smelling of sulfur if it's really bad. Relaxed, that's the entities like freaking out. They're using a lot of their energy and they're becoming weaker doing that. So after 2 weeks, go in, sweep it up, clear it up, and you will now have a basement you can go into. Kill all the cockroaches, do whatever you want. But that is how energy really affects our surroundings. So I'll now go into how energy affects us in general and affects the world as a whole. So with us, right, we're in a human body. And then inside of this human body, there is this absolutely gigantic, just absolutely huge energetic world that is inside of us. In here, you've got your cord area, you've got all your soul contracts, you've got your soul, you've got everything. It's huge. So if you were to remote view into your own area, which is fairly simple, you could do it now. All you would do is you would simply say, yeah, show me the inside of my energy, and you'd feel your focus moving inside of your body. Now, you may just see a black wall. That's if you've got a lot of negative energy, or you're just unpracticed. Just use your intention and feel yourself push against that. It may take you a few minutes, but you should be able to push into your own energy. And once you're there, you can now have a look around. You're inside your own energy. One really good thing to look for is the true self. So the true self is a reflection of, it can be yours, it can be someone else's. It's a reflection of their psyche, of both their subconscious and what's going on energetically. So you would say, show me my true self, and then you're inside your energy, you'd suddenly teleport and you'd be in the true self area. Now, if you or a person you're viewing talks to you, that's not your true self. Always make sure, it doesn't matter how believable it is, use your energy. You can just picture a sword and attack them. You can blast them with energy. Attack them. You cannot do damage to someone's true self. because you're using positive energy. Now, if you're watching this, you're positive. I'll talk about how a negative person is later on. But you yourself are an embodiment of positive energy, and they are an embodiment of positive energy. So if you were to hit someone and they were with energy in, say, their shoulder and they feel pain, that's normally negative entities' pain, right? It's not, you haven't done them any damage. So you'd say, show me the true self. You may see someone on a beach, attack them. If it was a trap, that will just disappear, and then it keep attacking. Some people have 3-4 traps. Then you will see the actual person's true self. Now, what will you see? Well, for most people, at least most people I see, who are energetically targeted, which means that energetic targeting means that someone has the potential to do something great, right? And it doesn't have to be like gigantic. They don't have to start some giant spaceship enterprise. What they can do is that they may just really make the world a better place. And I'm just thinking if I should think about this. Say this. I'll say it. So a few weeks ago, I started being able to see something called a destiny thread. What that looks like to me is humans, essentially, or souled people, have a big thread that comes out of their chest. It's a cord. It's the color of their energy. So if your soul is blue, it would be blue with gold on it. If it's green, the same. And this cord comes out, and it's not like they're destined to do one thing, but it's potential. Like there's a lot of branching paths, but they have the potential to end up somewhere and do a lot of good just for the world and for themselves. Doing good for yourself is very important. All right, being happy in your own body is extremely fantastic, right? If you were to give me the option of 10 people I've never met feel extreme bliss all the time, but you feel like suicidally depressed all the time, I'd say no way, right? I'm nowhere near that selfless. But in general, if you get yourself into a happier state, people around you, unless they're very negative, will also be in a happier state because you're just a joy to be around. So the destiny thread, it is something you don't really have to worry about. However, with energetically targeted people, what I see with the thread is something called energetic corruption. Energetic corruption is where your energy becomes black and all like wobbly. It's like I'm trying to like jelly almost. It's black watery jelly. In general, your energy tends to be crystalline, like a solid block, but energetic corruption on the energy body or anywhere else is a big black wavy lines. It's negative. So they get targeted and they make it that the good they could have done is just all I see is a big black wobbly line. They're not going anywhere. 3 years from now, if they didn't clear themselves or have me clear them or do something to resolve this corruption, they would be in the same spot because their energetic corruption has affected their destiny line and they can't go anywhere. That's just a way of seeing what's going on. With the true self, you can also see, so if you were to see someone's true self and they're pretty good, they'd probably be, you can tell quite a lot from people. If they're a workaholic, you'd see them on a desk just writing away. If they're energetically targeted, you'll see them in a volcano and there'll be negative entities whispering in their ears, things like that. Now, with the true self, you can help people and yourself. These entities that you're seeing whispering in their ears, they may be spread throughout all the body, but if you energetically erase them, you just use a sword and attack them and until they're slain, essentially, then you have erased these entities in the body. So it can be quite helpful. So that's one part of the energetic world. We have a huge energetic world inside of us. And unfortunately, unless we're energetically shielded, negative entities can just come along and, this guy, he looks like free food, and then they go straight in. If you have been to a prison or anywhere else, and you're energetically sensitive, you may often find that the next day you get really sick. And what's happened is you went to this prison and a lot of the negative entities, not so much ghosts, but just negative entities attracted to the area, went, hey, that guy, he has strong energy, in they go. And then you spend a week sick. And that is, I'm not exactly sure at the moment. It is both a mixture of these negative entities are making you sick, but it is also your physical body having a reaction, just how your energy is having a reaction to them and trying to get rid of them. Now, oftentimes, if you haven't done any energetic training, you will not, unfortunately, get rid of them. What will happen is you'll get sick, your energy will make it that they can't be on the surface anymore and beat them down, but they're now inside of your body. And as you energetically clear, you'll be like, oh, something will come up and you'll go, wait, these are the entities, and you'll intuitively know from 2 years ago when I went to that prison, and then you'll erase them. You'll feel that sickness, but you'll get there much quicker and get rid of them. So often, illnesses, physical pain, not all of them, of course. If you stub your toe or you go and lick mold, right? Yes, there's an energetic component to that, but physically you've done something. But a lot of the time, it is an energetic target that is hitting you. And it's not, your fault physically. As you do energetically clear, you'll often have cuts that you remember you won't even remember them. Oftentimes with negative entities, when they invade into your body, there will be a physical wound. So let's just say you've got a cut on your arm. You wake up with it, you're like, how did this get here? Oh, well. And then that cut, it looks to you, it heals, but it doesn't heal. It goes deeper in, and that is the physical reflection of that entity. So then as you clear, the cut, and you find that entity and erase it, the cut will often come up to the surface and then heal rather rapidly because there's no energetic component there. So in terms of our energetic world, there is an awful lot there. You can feel free to have a look around. It's quite fun. If anyone has any questions on what I've said so far, feel free to ask them. And then I will talk about shielding. So with shielding, right? So you go, okay, well, I've got this giant energetic world inside of me, and I don't want things to just be able to come and go as they please, which is what happens with most people. They just come and go as they please. Now, if you're not energetically sensitive, you'll just normally, instead of feeling energetically, your body, especially if you talk to older people, their body feels heavy because they just had years and years of stuff going in them, and now they've got like that much stuff weighing them down. They energetically, they don't know what's going on. They just know their body hurts. They have all these aches and pains for no reason. And that's normally energetically related, or it's normally just pure energetic problems affecting them there. So with shielding, I have a video up on shielding. It's a very important video. The basics of what you're shielding, you normally just picture it around your physical body. You can picture it around your true self. But what you're doing is you're shielding with the intention, or the intention would just be to shield your physical body, but you're making an effort to shield your energetic world. The entire entryway to your energy is what you're sealing off. This does not get rid of the... Can you explain portals now they're created? Yes, I will do that. With shielding, you're shielding off your entire energetic world. That way things can't come and go. This doesn't get rid of the entities inside of you, unfortunately, but this makes it that if you spend 2 hours clearing things from your chest, you don't go, all right, good, and then you, without a shield, just in comes more. And I'm going to make a video on my struggles with shielding. In the same video I talk about negative people, which will be 2 or 3 live streams away, or maybe even the next one. But shielding, when you do any kind of clearing, is incredibly important. Shielding is mainly, unfortunately, based off your energetic strength. So right now, you can spend 4 hours shielding, and you'll be incredibly tired, and you'll have really overdone it. You're better off just spending 10 minutes each day shielding. As you energetically train, you will just get stronger, and a shield that would take you an hour now will take you 2 seconds, but it's not so much that shield will take you 2 seconds a year from now. It will be that shield is like so weak now that compared to what you can make in 5 minutes, like it can't even compare. That's how energetic shielding works. Now, unfortunately, even with shielding, if you have any kind of trauma wounds, and if you've listened to any kind of energetic people, you definitely know about traumas. So if my fully is full of very large painful knots, is that an energetic problem? The answer is yes. It may not be the main cause, but they would certainly not be... these entities certainly aren't helping you. And I am going to talk about physical regeneration and how having better energy leads to wounds healing faster, or bad energy leads to not healing at all. It's on the list. So I'll just go, when a person has depression and is feeling better with a medication, does an entity still want to attach and control? I would say yes. Medication, just how mold is a physical thing, medication, it can help physically. And it will ricochet energetically and help there. The problem I have with medication is that, so let's say you're depressed, right? And they go, okay, well, you've got a million reasons to be depressed. They may say you're stressed, and you're like, no, but your whole life has been stressful, right? You're a targeted person. So you're like, no, I'm not stressed. The medication will help, but you'll have to keep upping and upping and upping the dose, because you'll build up a physical and energetic resistance to it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So with traumas, let's say you've got some really bad traumas, you were picked on quite badly. What will happen is you will have a big energetic wound over here. So even if you shield, right, and your shield is working quite well, it's blocking most things, if something is somewhat intelligent or it looks for trauma ways, it will just get in that way, and then you're getting entities into this trauma, which is often why if you have a past injury, say you broke your arm, or you got punched in the nose or something, or you just had some pretty bad physical damage, that is what will keep flaring up. The rest of your body won't be that bad. You're energetically shielded, but you'll just keep getting pain there. And no matter how much you clear, it'll keep coming back to that pain spot. And that's because you've got either a physical or mental trauma affecting that area. My next fundamentals of energy will be most likely how to erase traumas. So I won't go into that now, as it I feel like requires more detail and for you to sit down and go through the technique. So the next thing I'll talk about is how having better energy leads to wounds healing faster, or just straight up not healing whatsoever. So you've probably heard about people getting cursed and they end up with some rather serious illnesses. Oftentimes, if you get a really bad injury, or especially if you're targeted, you often end up with injuries for no reason, and they just do not heal, and there's no reason for it, right? When I was 20. No, I don't even think I was 20. I was 17. That's right. When I was 17, I was lifting luggage, and I had a tear in my muscle here for pretty much no reason, and it got better, and then it kind of stagnated, and then it just got worse, and then it just kept getting better and worse, and there was no reason for it. Physically, there was no reason for it not to get better, but energetically, I was very targeted. So my muscle was evidently weakened due to them targeting it, and then once it was damaged, they just really went after it and prevented any kind of healing. Right, that's the negative aspect. Now, the positive aspect is if you're clearing, and you clear your body. For example, if I were to re-enter this area now, which I'm not planning to do, and I have cleared it fairly well, I would regenerate much faster because that area is now incredibly clear, at least for the time being. So, for example, if you were to, say, injure your left arm or just sprain your wrist, right, and your energy is positive and clear and quite strong, you could just visualize your energy and move it into there, and move your energy into your arm with the intention to heal, and you would be able to speed up energetically the healing process, which would then affect the healing process physically. Now, unless you're insanely strong, you're not just going to go and immediately fix like a broken wrist, but you can certainly increase the recovery speed. I'm sure you've heard of people, the doctor says, you'll never walk again, and they go, no, I'll walk again, and purely because they believe they can, more so than what's actually physically going on. Their energy works with them, and they do rebuild something which may not be able to actually be, may not logically in the third dimension be able to be rebuilt. Playing healing frequencies above 31 hertz on a regular basis will raise the frequency of the body and the shield. It will. I don't really use healing frequencies anymore. I mainly just work with my own energy all the time. But yes, playing healing frequencies, so long as they're actually positive, very much listen to your intuition if you're playing. I have a playlist there on my channel, you can go there. But if you're listening to other ones, use your intuition. Listen to how your body feels. If you're feeling negative, stay away from anything with mantras. If you do that, then yes, healing frequencies can be quite useful. I wouldn't say play them 24/7 because essentially what they're doing is they're working out your body and working out your energy. And then if you just play them 24/7, your body won't have time to relax and recuperate. So play them for a few hours. Listen to your body. I will elaborate on Destiny Threads now. So essentially, each soul person is born with this big crystally thread. It's the color of their soul coming out of their energy, and now it branches off in a lot of different ways. Right? There can be time is not set in stone whatsoever, but it will branch off, and it will affect all over the place. So essentially, but once you've normally, like, let's say you have Destiny Thread and there's a route that goes up, you'll go up, and then the Destiny Thread will straighten, and you'll keep going. So instead of having all these potential possibilities, negative entities target you and make it that instead of having all these possibilities, you have one possibility, which is you're stuck, right? You're black and blue, you're just doing that. And then as you energetically clear, you don't so much have to work on the Destiny Thread, right? You just overall clear yourself energetically. I wouldn't worry about the Destiny Thread, but you overall work on yourself energetically and get yourself clear, and the Destiny Thread will just fix up, and it'll go from being corrupted to just black to red to then your overall colored energy, and then you should hopefully have some opportunities. Now, this doesn't mean if you just energy train 24/7, things will just pop in your lap. You still have to physically, and I'm not one for manifestation, all right? You have to physically go out and do things more so than just, hope that they'll come to you. So I was talking about traumas. Next, I was talking about body energy healing. So in order to heal your body, and what you do is you would just, I'll talk about remote viewing. So you would go to class 4 that I have, remote viewing. Learn that when you remote view, you don't have to worry about taking any kind of damage. You're not leaving your body. This is not astral projection. Even though it's similar to astral projection, you're essentially taking up your consciousness and basically your mind, right? For people who aren't fluent in English, you're taking your mind and you're just moving what it's seeing from out here or whatever you're thinking about to inside of your body, and then you'll see various negative entities and other things, and then you just go through and erase them. Why not listen to mantras? Because mantras are normally, for the most part, Hindu gods, and the Hindu gods are false white light entities. They're just here to farm you. They're not here to actually help you. What is the best way to combat full-on psychic attack? The best way is to prepare now, shield now, right? You may get someone psychically attack you 2 years from now, and that your shield will just stop them immediately. That's the best way, shielding. But if you don't have 2 years, they're attacking you now, remote view, see what's going on, and erase the attack. That would be the best way. Ensuring the best way of checking for tests in the shield is just twice a week. Just say, show me my shield, look around, zoom out. Don't zoom in on your shield and just see like a part of it. Zoom out. If you're being stopped from zooming out, look behind you or feel behind you and erase behind you, and then zoom out and just check your shield has no overall damage. Buddhist mantras, no. It depends who makes them, because I've heard Buddhist mantras that are positive, but they're not so much worshipping a deity, right? The ones where they're worshipping a deity or the goal is to connect to a deity, those tend to be very negative. But the ones that are just Buddhist monks just saying something over and over, and it's just with the intention to heal or clear, then that is normally, quite good. But in general, a good rule of thumb is just steer clear from mantras. They will do you way more harm than good, especially in the long term. So let's talk about chords with energetic chords. Essentially, just how these two people were having an argument and it affected the atmosphere of the room. If you're not energetically shielded and someone's having an argument, they will often, through no real conscious effort, a negative chord will come off them and from their energy and go onto the other person. In the cord area, so you just say, show me the cord area, you would see the person who has the cord from that person. And often if they have an argument, they both cord at each other. And then you'll see a thought form version of the person, and it will often be a cartoonish version of the person, of how they look like at that moment. So these people may know each other for 20 years, but because the cord was initially put 20 years ago, that person will look like they did 20 years ago. With energetic cords, people aren't really much of a problem unless they're really psychopathic. It's for the most part just entities that are really cording people, similar to how people do. So with cords, you just go through and cut them all. Once you've got a strong shield up, you may even feel it. You may, and if you want to, you can make the intention to see if anything's coming at your shield. You may see the cord go shh and then erase, like it does not stick. And then after a while, the cord from that person's energy will either give up or be fully erased. So cords in general, they're something very important to work on, but they're not something you need to like be paranoid about. Like, oh no, that person yelled at me, I've got a cord. You most likely don't. If you've just put up a basic energetic shield, it's pretty hard for people to cord you when you've got a basic shield. You've tried to remote view for years, but you visualize a blank screen. Are you able? Yes, I can help erase implants and stuff that would cause that. In general, if you're just seeing a blank screen, often entities have set up something. So take your energy and attack the blank screen, right? You're most likely just seeing black. Attack it, push through it. One thing I do recommend if you can't feel it is just feel yourself, like take your hands energetically and just push through. You can do it physically if you want. That can help. But so it'll help you focus. So let's say you go, show me, let's just say like a beach near you, right? And I often find remote viewing someone's energy is a lot easier to lock onto than a physical location, but that's mainly because I practice that a lot, most likely. So you would just push in, and then you'd see through the black. That is how I'd recommend you do that. Do you think all contracts are generally bad? Yes. Also, they don't make positive soul contracts. No. I've yet to ever see one anyway. So no, soul contracts do not have any kind of positive effect. I mean, the false spotlight ones will say they do, like, oh, you will get to bring in, what's it called? The alien people are always talking about it. The idea that you will be one of the people to announce aliens to the world, and then we'll enter Star Trek and stuff like that, right? That'll be on the contract. But that doesn't mean it's true, right? It just means these aliens are messing with you and they will, work through you and cause problems. But just because that's in your contract, it doesn't mean they'll help you do that. Disclosure, that's what it is. We're gonna have disclosure. In terms of alien disclosure, I think it's unlikely for any small. I mean, it's already disclosed. It's already the information is out there if you want it. A lot of it's new agey and nonsense, but a lot of the information is out there. So it doesn't really need to be disclosed. I think people are more so waiting for the government, especially the US government, to disclose it and then usher in like a science fiction age, which is especially look at the world right now, right? That's very unlikely. I mean, hey, it'd be terrific, but it's quite unlikely. So next is done traumas. I'll just look at questions. How do you get rid of contracts? I talked about that in the last live stream, so just watch that one. I believe it was the last one. So I'm just checking questions if I missed any. Oh wait, yes, this is a healing video. I forgot. Let's just check what I'm actually doing. Okay, so fortunately for me, my energy knew this was a healing video. Yes, this is a healing video. I'll just check into that right now. So I'll turn it up. So this is a healing video. This healing video will do energetic. It will do entity erasure. It will do implant erasure. It will just do overall clearing and overall energy clearing and healing. That's what I'll make this one for. The technique I'm doing is I'm using my own energy. It's and I'm having it activate very strongly and then like emanate off. So I'm not cording people with this one. I'm trying a different technique, but I'm seeing a lot of gold runes of my own energy that are activated, and that is pulsing and emitting healing energy. You can play a healing video on mute. You don't have to hear it. You can also play it on, yes, you can play it on mute. I think I just said that. It can also be minimized. You don't have to see it either. There's also stacks. So if you're really getting hit hard, and I've done this with my videos, I'm like, all right, play 10 healing videos, get them out there. Tony Soros recently made some good healing videos. I believe he has 2 up now. Those are quite good. I'd recommend them. With his, though, especially with the heavy metal one, I would not recommend playing that on multiple tabs, because that one's fairly strong and your body would really feel it. So probably keep his to 1, but mine are made with the intention that you can just keep doing it until you feel like, let's say you're feeling pain in your shoulder, right? Just keep putting on tabs until the pain goes down and down and down. And then probably won't fully disappear, but it'll get much better. So yes, this is a healing video. Someone asked about, I believe it was Jade, asked about portals. I'll just scroll up and see if I missed any questions. No, that's portals. So in terms of energetic portals, what happens is I'll talk about entity races first, right? So with entity races, you just have talked about, so there's negative energy and there's positive energy. So there must be positive entities, right? And the answer is not really. I've seen a few positive souls and a few positive people, but I haven't seen any actual positive entities that are not, like, there are positive souls and positive animals and things like that, but all the positive guys tend to be alive, right? And then negative entities, they're all, and by alive I mean they have a physical body in the 3rd dimension. And the negative entities, they don't have a physical body in the 3rd dimension. They're just video game monsters. So, forgot where I was going with this. Energetic portals. So there are a type of entity variant called energetic shamans. I've mentioned these before. And these are the main ones that they essentially take, let's say your house is very negative. They'll take that energy and then just install a portal on the side of your kitchen, and then entities can come and go, mainly come, and then they'll just come in and feed off that energy and feed off you and target you. In order to close a portal, the way remote viewing works is, and this is how you close it, is your energetic strength dictates what you can see. You will not be able to see something that it would take you like 3 months of non-stop attacking to get rid of. You will, as you get energetically stronger with remote viewing, you'll be able to see more and more. So when you first start, you won't be perceiving portals, at least external to you, but you'll probably see them inside. But once you get energetically stronger, you'll just make the intention to see your kitchen or wherever you are, see inside of you, and you'll see just fantasy-looking portals, science-fiction-looking portals, and then you will just use your energy. I'll often have my energy just manifest on them, just make the intention to have your energy essentially appear and become real on that portal, and then erase through it until it's fully erased. And that's how you erase interdimensional portals. You were very attacked through my chakras, and so I had them moved by Tony, and now often feel attacked around my heart center. No, I would say that they were attacking you. Entities, what they'll do is they will attack you one way, so they were attacking you through your chakras a lot. And then once you had them out, they couldn't do that anymore, right? So they're resourceful, so they go, all right, well, we can't attack you there. Most likely you have a trauma to do with your heart, and I'd say they're attacking you through there. A lot of people have heart traumas. Any kind of romance traumas that's there, any kind of really just lack of parental love, that tends to cause a pretty major trauma over the heart. And a lot of people have that one, that's for sure. So how long does it take for you to remote view a person, their energy, and any low energy entities? Well, it's instant. It's just I set my focus to see them. Right? So remote viewing is like you're just there. But with energetic clearing, it depends. This is energetically, we're in a video game, okay? So let's say your level is 100 and the entity's level is 80, and it takes you 2 minutes using your energy to erase it. And I will make a video on this in further detail. Right, and then if your level is 100 and something is 150, so with perception, as I said, as you get stronger, you will, let's say your level is 100, you can probably perceive something that's 150, right? Anything above that, you just can't even see. It's just not there. And then as you get to 1,000, right, you can see that all these things that you didn't even know existed were inside of you, and then probably something there. And then you don't tend to see things that are like, there's no way you could erase with your mind. Physically, if something attacks you, yeah, that can be way stronger than you are at the moment. But mentally and energetically, you will not, for the most part, perceive things that you just could not be, right? Because the way negative entities work is they're essentially parasites. And parasites, it's best for them for people to not even know that they're there, right? So you'll get, I'll use this as an analogy. When I was 15, I went through a cockroach plague. It was absolutely awful. This is a good story because it talks about traumas as well. So I used to have a brick wall behind my bed, and in the brick wall were all kinds of holes. And what would happen is I'd be trying to sleep, and cockroaches 4, 5, 10 would come out, and they would just run all over the place. And the thing is with cockroaches, most of them are not, I mean, let's consider them just like negative entities. They're not outright attacking you. They simply just want to feed off you and, feed off your suffering, etc. So most of the cockroaches, you'd walk in a room and they'd either freeze or they'd flee. But they get to a point where they'd be so big that they wouldn't worry. But and then you'd get a few just like negative entities that were really violent. Like you'd be walking upstairs and one would just fly right on your face, and you'd be attacking it and it'd be flying all over you and using its barbs to stab you, right? Most cockroaches don't do that. They don't live very long if they violently attack people. But you do get a few that are like that. And of course, after that encounter, you kill it and it's gone. With negative entities, most of them, they want to hide. They want to conceal themselves. They don't want you to know they're there. They like to put negative thoughts in your mind, but they don't want you to know it's them. So, but then every now and then you get one that is just I will make you suffer as much as possible and attack you in every way. And it doesn't care that it's better off for it to, conceal itself. It will do whatever it can just because it's, it's its nature, right? It's just malicious, more malicious than the other ones. It's overtly malicious, right? But most negative entities, you kind of got to ferret them out and find them. They're not overtly malicious. Now, the weaker, stupider ones, the ones that aren't that old, normally just attack you. You call out and they'll all show up. But the older ones, the smarter ones, not so much. Because even like the malicious ones, unless they're just fortunate that they haven't run into me or anyone else who would erase them, they're not going to live that long because they're outright attacking you. I don't remember why. Oh yeah, that's right. Because these things are parasites essentially. So most of them don't want you to know they're there. Yes, I am going to make a video on thought forms. That's its own video, and that'll be probably a few months off. What about ants and spiders? So in terms of ants and spiders, it depends. It mainly depends on the energetic makeup of ants and spiders. So animals, like let's say ants, will often, I think how best to word this. Let's say your neighborhood, right? It's either positive energy or it's negative energy. And if the energy is more negative in the neighborhood, then the ants and the wildlife will be affected by it, just how people are. So the ants are more likely to bite you. I wouldn't say ants are inherently negative, right? They're just another creature living here. But they're more so affected by energy than humans are. Same with spiders. So if you go somewhere positive, spiders are less likely to be violent and acting out because they're being influenced by the negative energy, and their energy body is full of negative energy. This house in particular, growing up in it, was quite cursed. I had quite a few instances where spiders had evidently, they were probably even being hijacked by negative entities, went out of their way to like wait till I was sleeping and then, or wait till I was in bed anyway, and then try and attack me. and it doesn't. I hadn't done anything to spiders, right? Spiders normally won't go out of their way to attack you unless energy is, attacking them. So that being said, in an area with positive energy, right, spiders are more likely to run away from you because they're less influenced by the energy. I don't really have a problem with spiders. Energetically, there are negative entities that are spiders that are evil, but physical spiders here, not so much. Just how there's a negative energetic race that's very, very common and pure evil called the praying mantis entities. They look just like praying mantises, but they have 2 humanoid legs. At least the main race does. So, but physical praying mantises, they're just insects, right? They're not really related to that entity race. They're just something, a physical animal here. Can negative entities cause the environment to be so heavy and dense that you get hit with a wave of lethargy? Yes. So in particular, places with really bad negative energy, schools, prisons, but importantly, hospitals, right? Hospitals' energy is terrible. And, people energetically tend to get worse in hospitals. They tend to feel more dread, and et cetera, because it's just been a lot of suffering, a lot of problems there. But yes, if your energetic environment is just really negative, you will get sick more easily because your immune system over time will just be energetically brought down, and you will, become just unwell as it, worsens. Now, that's not permanent. If you clear your space and get it positive, your immune system will recover because it's no longer under constant barrage by your surroundings. So I'm now going to talk about how your mental state is affected by your energy. So in terms of who you are as a person consciously, that comes from your soul, right? So your conscious thought, like, I will make a healing video, right? That's my thought. I thought that. But if you're sitting there and it's like, oh man, that guy cut me off in traffic, right? And it's like blah 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 blah. It's like and you may be like, hang on, what? Who's talking, right? Because you make that's not you. What that normally is it's negative entities, it's implants, things that they've set up. So one of the best benefits of energy training, and one reason why I recommend it to everyone, is because it greatly increases your just mental clarity. And that being said, as you clear, you will get clearer thoughts and a clearer mind. Negative entities do have a massive effect on your mental state, as well as your physical state. How I mentioned they'll stop you, your wounds healing. You'll also just feel heavier as you're weighed down by all these negative entities. It's just part of how they target us. You just get weighed down and you feel really heavy. So as you clear, you feel overall mentally and physically like just weights are coming off of you, because they are. You're removing like a lot of just energetic weight that was not yours. So with your mental state, just try and keep like calm, and you'll often feel like if you put them on my healing videos, your mental state will be calmer, and any negative thoughts you do have, they'll be less frequent and less loud. That's one thing I really noticed when I first started doing this. Geez, my entity thoughts were louder than mine. But now it's like they're quiet, and now there's none, which makes sense. I'm doing a healing video. They can't really survive in this kind of environment. But they get quieter and quieter and less frequent until it like pretty much dissipates. So it's very much worthwhile. So I've got questions. Is there ever a time that using nature's energy could be negative? Is there always an abundant reserve? So with nature's energy, yes, there is a very abundant reserve. Okay, it's a huge energy grid. You're not going to drain it dry. No, you could not. I could completely empty myself and fill myself with nature's energy, and it wouldn't cause a problem. So, with nature's energy, I'll talk about. I'll answer the rest of the questions. Then I'll talk about something I was about to talk about next, which is corruption. So, if you're going somewhere like to check on an animal when they're out of town, can you send positive energy or clear energy before you enter? Yes, you would simply make the intention. It'd be, especially if you're first starting, just ask for a picture of that area, and then just energetically you can feel into it, and just with your intention, use your energy to clear it, or you can remote view in and have a look around and erase entities there. For a few years, there have been UFOs watching over me. Yeah, me too. With UFOs, what's going on there is aliens have been here for a long time, and their spaceships tend to reside in the 4th and 5th dimension. It depends on the entity race, somewhere in the 7th. But what they do is they phase in, and you've probably seen this, like a voo, voo, and this big light appears, and and then when they disappear, they do the same thing, where they fade out. But they fade into the physical dimension. I'm not going to talk about aliens now, because if I do, we'll be here for an hour just talking about that. But yeah, never trust any aliens. Their agenda is essentially to keep us here looping, just feeding off of us. I do talk about this in the video called "What Is This Matrix?" Or it's called something like that. Anyway, so energetic corruption, right? So as I've said, there are 2 energy polarities. There's positive and negative. There is no middle ground. There is no gray, right? You can be a little bit positive, you're still positive. You can be a little bit negative, you're still negative, right? There's no middle ground. You don't. I'm just gonna have some water. There is no neutral area. If an entity ever feels neutral, or you just can't feel the energy, they're negative every time. Every time. So my healing video is clearing something in my throat. So you say, okay, well, I'm a being of positive energy, but maybe this is all just too hard, right? Maybe I'm just seeing how many people. 31 people. That's pretty good. If you're watching this, if you could thumbs it up, by the way, that'd be great. I'd like to think. I like it. That's pretty much it, all right? Deep down, I'm like, yes, 40 likes. Anyway, so if you're corrupted, no, let's say, so you're like, I'm done with this, all right? I'm being a Satanist. I'm going the evil route, all right? Sign me up, Hollywood. I'm all on board, right? You do that. Don't do that, right? Because not only will you lose your mind, and there's a video where Christopher Lee talks about this, but you will also lose your soul completely. You will not be you anymore. You will be somewhere screaming in the back of your mind. So if you want to go pure evil, right? What happens is, let's say you want to use negative energy. So in general, in the world that's around us, there is positive and negative energy. So for example, I've got a crystal. This is positive energy. I can pick it up and I can move this energy around it, right? Like if you can see energy, you can see what I'm doing. If you can't, you might be able to feel it a bit. I'm just picking up the energy and spinning it around it. I can do that because it's positive energy and I'm positive. And with my positive energy, I couldn't actually do anything really negative with this. So that's positive energy. You can move positive energy freely around. Now, negative energy, I don't really have anything negative around me. But if I were to try and move it, it would just be like, no. Because it would resist me, right? Because it's on the opposite polarity. So I can't do anything with negative energy. And negative energy is shit in general. It's just like black tarry, like water. You can't really do much with it. So I would have the option of either really erasing it, right? Because I can't move it. At least I can move it, but it would, resist me. But let's say, right, you want to join the evil side. You want to be negative. So what you do is you make contracts with the archangels, or the archangels are just false white light. So there are 2 kinds of negative people. There's false white light people. Think of New Age people, and then you have the other option, right, which is what I'm going to talk about, which is negative, like black negative energy, which is both of these are just as bad as each other. But what would happen is you would essentially drown yourself in negative energy, and you would basically give up control over your soul. Now, negative entities, even no matter how targeted you are, they can't take the core of your soul. Like you may have 0.0001%. That's still you, right? That's you. But and they cannot fully close off that connection without a lot, like an absurd amount of effort on their part. So, but if you were to hand that away, you would then be evil, right? You would be an evil incarnation, and you would then you probably wouldn't feel all the heaviness around you. Your body would feel heavy, but to you, because you're so corrupted, you would be in a blissful state of all the negative energy. You would feel happy about it. And that's what energetic corruption is. It's where somebody gets to the point where they're so corrupted with negative energy. I don't know why I keep playing with my button, by the way. I'll stop doing that. So I'll just leave it open. You would get to the point where you are so corrupted that negative things would feel positive. And that's how you get a lot of these people saying, oh no, this entity race, not all the reptilians are bad. I've never met any negative entity in general that has not been bad. Negative entity. I mean, entity in general that hasn't been, evil. So that is energetic corruption. Now, can you undo that? Can you undo someone who stole their soul? Yes. Could I undo it? Possibly. I don't think I would, unless they paid me an awful lot of money, I suppose. And I felt like deep down they were actually a good person. But if you do sell your soul, can you get it back? Yes. But it would require a lot of effort on your part. It would not be, I mean, you're already about as bad as you can get, but it would be a very tough road to get out of that. But anyway, that's what's going on with these, people who are completely corrupted and have become evil. So recently, do you consider chaos energy negative? Chaos energy, I'll have a look now. It's not. It's just an energy grid it's kind of positive and negative, so I wouldn't use it, but it's not. You can actually use it, right? So it's not just a grid of negative energy. But no, I'd say instead of chaos energy, you'd be much better off just using your own positive energy and just strengthening that, because in the long term, it'll be way stronger than any chaos energy or any other type of energy. Yeah, the ET offered to portal you to a better world. Yeah, in general, it's most likely trying to build up trust with you. And then basically these ETs would have implants inside of you, and this healing video will help getting rid of those. They will have implants inside of you that make it that if you had gone through the portal and energetically, you would see all this stuff and it would all look blissful, and there'd be unicorns and the aliens would look good, but the implants are altering your perception. They're actually evil, right? You're not seeing through their cloak and their falsehood. And as you get energetically stronger, especially with remote viewing, you'll see through all the falsehood and see just how much of a sham it unfortunately all is. If you keep having negative encounters with someone you live with, how do you overcome this energetically? Break off, do cord cutting, make sure to really get rid of that cord, and then just shield yourself. That's about the best thing I can do. I mean, ideally, cut them out of your life, but that's not always an option. So just energetically shield yourself and see if you can get them to make a change. You may be able to. I'm not so sure. Do you think the major key to exiting the matrix is to disregard all religion or false white light? Yes, that's it. So I'll talk about that now. Why people believe and freely give energy to gods. Essentially, and it makes a lot of sense, right? So, and when I was a child and getting, more so as a teenager, I was getting the shit kicked out of me by entities when I was trying to sleep. And I prayed devoutly. Nobody ever helped me. I didn't even get any false white light entities helping me. No, nothing. I just got negative entities just stomping on me, right? But I can understand that if you're getting attacked by entities and you pray and entities do actually help you, you're like, oh, good, I've got something there. It's nice to think that there is someone who is so much smarter than you, so much more malevolent than you, that's looking out for you. And if it were true, right, as in a conscious being, that would be phenomenal. I would, I'd be up here like spreading the gospel, but it's not how it works, unfortunately. Yet the way to get true energetic strength, right, that can't be taken away, and to leave here when you died, and is to just not worship any deities. If you have any in you, energetically attack them. If they take energy, they're negative. If they take damage, they're negative, right? So you don't have to worry that, oh no, this guy says he's good. is he taking damage? Is he? Then yes, then he's made out of negative energy. He's not good. He may as well be a demon, right? So yes, disregard all. You can, read religion and stuff like that, but don't pray and freely give energy to things. These gods will not help you leave the matrix, or the main god, right? As I've mentioned, there is a positive energy that I could consider, what they're talking about. But in terms of a conscious guy, that's not what I see. So if you were to try and connect to a conscious guy, you normally just get straight to a reptilian. That's normal, and the reptilian, he can be dressed as Jesus, Buddha, whoever you believe in, right? If you believe in your dad, right, he'll be your dad. But it's a reptilian that you're giving energy to, and in the long term, you will get nowhere, right? Because you're not training your energy. You need to work on yourself and do that. So next I'm going to talk about being ungrounded due to lack of sleep, hunger, thirst, etc., and how it makes you perceive dimensions more. So essentially, if you're in your physical body and you're fairly healthy, you shouldn't be for the most part, you shouldn't be walking around and like living in a big drug trip, right? Things should be pretty grounded. That's the main goal. You want to be able to use remote viewing and perceive things if you want, and clear things if you want, but you don't want to be stuck in there, right? So often when I'll use sleep for an example. If you've been really tired, like you stayed up for 30 hours for some reason, you often get really ungrounded, and you notice like you start hallucinating. Now, these hallucinations often are not from your mind. It's often that you're so ungrounded in your body that you're now perceiving parts of the other dimensions. One time I remember I was very ungrounded. I believe I was 16, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I'd been up for like 26 hours. I think I was trying to fix my sleep schedule. So I was doing something. But I remember my fly screen started having like words came out on there, and it felt like, now I know what fairy energy feels like. So it felt like that. But so I was tapping into a fairy dimension, and I was having things written out on the fly screen. And so you often hear about when people, especially if they go on some kind of fast for days on end where they just don't eat, they say their energetic abilities are getting stronger. It's not so much they're stronger, it's more so that they're so not tethered to their body that they just get knocked around all over the place energetically, and they're very easily seeing things. I mean, there's even, I'm not one who reads the Bible much, but there was one story, because I grew up, I had this stuff rammed down my throat as a child, where Jesus met the devil in the desert, and the story you can infer from that is he went out in the desert and he got really high from like dehydration and hunger, and thirst, that he started perceiving other dimensions, and then he perceived an entity that would have been the devil. Now, there is no one entity called the devil. There's a race of entities called that are devils, but they're not very strong. Anyway, now the clinical psychologists the type of psychologist Jordan Peterson is, psychopsychologist, will say that he was seeing his own inner shadow, but that's very unlikely. It could be an entity that was inside of him, but there's no such thing as a real shadow. As I've talked about, as in that you don't have a part of you that is an evil consciousness. It's normally negative entities. That doesn't mean shadow work and all that is redundant, but the actual concept of the shadow. But when you're ungrounded, yes, you do end up seeing. My door's just the doorknob broke, so that's why I'm trying to look at that. But that's why being ungrounded, even people with no real abilities can see things. Like if someone's done no energetic training, I'm talking a bit fast, they can take mushrooms and they can trip, right? And it's because they're getting the energy from this, and it's ungrounding them, and it's often doing a lot of damage in the process. How does a person's soul become fragmented? So in terms of soul retrieval, that it's just soul energy that has both been stolen from us, and it's soul energy that's been kept from us. In terms of soul damage, which most people have, pretty much everyone who's sold, because the soul doesn't get restored on. I meant to keep this basic about what energy is. Now I'm talking about soul restoration. Anyway, the soul does take damage over lifetimes, and it doesn't get put back, as we incarnate. So it just takes damage from, mainly trauma, both mental and energetic. So that's ungroundedness. What about nature spirits, fairies, etc.? Yes, fairies are definitely negative. Nature spirits, pretty much anything that's called like a something spirit is just a negative entity, and they're negative. That's how I see it. Unfortunately, garden gnomes are negative. Fairies, just like fae, they're all negative entities, right? That's how I see it anyway. They're all feeding off people. What does never-ending sleep problems mean? They can be physical problems causing your sleep problems, but entities, they can cause implants and other things that negatively affect sleep in general. So with gods in particular, so let's say, right, you wake up and you feel that or you see, like, oftentimes if you can see energy with your physical eyes, especially if it's pitch black, you'll see like a pixelated thing. You won't see it very clearly unless you've done some energy training, but you'll see pixelated black energy, and you'll feel it's very negative, right? You may just see like a big black shadow. That's what shadow beings are. So you may wake up and go, oh no, there's a demon at the foot of my bed. And then you're like, I use the power of God to vanquish thee, right? And now what's happening is most likely you're not connecting to that God energy. You're most likely using your own energy, but with the true intention that it will work, right? So you're using your own energy and then blasting it. Now, you could connect faith energy, and if you're not really targeted, you could be using that. But in general, when people are using like a god or something, like especially the Christian God, they're not connecting to an energy source. They're just using their own energy with the belief that it will work, and with the intention that it will work. And if the entity is not that strong, or the person who's doing it is decently strong, it gets rid of the entity without them knowing much about, energy combat or anything like that, just with their intention. So that can work. Jade just said that when she was a child and she shook her bed. Yeah, mine too. They even up until last year, they were still shaking my bed. They do that just to feed off your fear for the most part. That's mainly it. They just shake your bed. So I have here energy affecting houses. I've done that. So I'll talk about clearing. Please explain about shadows. I talk about that in the first live stream I did. So yeah, just go listen to that about my 10-minute talk on what's going on with the shadow. So the way, lost my train of thought. I was talking about beds being shaken. Yes. So as you overall clear your space, negative entities will have less energy to work with, and the bed shaking and stuff will get weaker and weaker to a less, and then it will pretty much stop. I believe that's pretty much it. Oh, clearing and charging yourself and items. So with items in general, you'll often feel that's another good way to like know that you can sense energy, because you've often like known when something's cursed. Like you get an odd feeling in the back of your mind. And that's another way for sensing energy. So I think that's pretty much it. I've covered all my questions here about the basics of energy. If anyone has any other basic energy questions, because that's what this is supposed to be, then feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer it. Thinking if there's anything else to talk about. I just put my hand up because I think I'm doing it like the energy, healing energy is not coming from my body. I mean, it's coming from my whole body. And my whole energy. It's not coming from my hand, but I put that up. I think it's like it's intuitively, so people know I'm healing. That seems to be how it works. How do entities block psychic abilities? Well, they block your energy overall as a whole by just putting in implants and just blocking up everything, so it just doesn't flow properly. That's how they block that. Also, you've probably noticed the air here is very cold, and my skin doesn't like cold air. So if you're noticing that I've got like shaving caps on me, my skin did not like the cold air this morning when I shaved. But I'm not going to do like a video with 3 days worth of stubble. And I'm wearing a suit, right, or a blazer, because this is not a suit; it's a blazer. Because it's cold, and it certainly looks more professional. But because it's cold, and it's like, well, I don't want to be uncomfortable in like a V-neck that I normally wear. No, and it looks more professional than wearing a jumper. Sent an email a few days ago about a session. I normally reply to all my emails pretty well. So if you send me an email and don't if you don't get a reply that day, don't email me the next day. That's annoying. But if you don't get a reply like 3-4 days, resend the email. Because I do tend to like check my emails on a daily, or at least every I do tend to try and check it daily. Some days I don't. But I make an effort to answer all my emails. Is it better to use nice language or foul language to scare entities? In general, it's better to just not even communicate with them. Like, for example, I've done energetic sessions with people where they have been pretty much partial possession, and an entity has been speaking through them. Ignore it. Entities just speak gibberish, and they'll say whatever they can. So I'll be erasing an entity, and they're like, "You're going to hell," and it's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not. You're." And I'm not sending them to hell either. I'm just erasing you from existence, right? Because they're just video game monsters. There's no soul there. You're just erasing it. It's done. It doesn't exist anymore. So I say don't even communicate with them. Just ignore them and erase them. That's how I do it. I'll talk about energetic programming, in particular religious programming. So as I mentioned, when I grew up, I was, I had the whole Christian upbringing, Catholic upbringing, being dragged to church and told to sit down and be silent for an hour while nobody engaged with me. It was incredibly boring. But what ended up happening is, and you hear about this a lot with people targeted by entities, these religious things tend to cause like fears inside of you. It's a lot of fear-based programming. It's not the intention by the pastor, at least not. I mean, from the shitty ones it is, but from the good ones, not so much. But what would happen is I would have. I ended up seeing a YouTube video where I think a friend showed it to me of like this horror movie, and it was hell, and it was very graphic. And in my mind, I got this thought that was you're going to hell, and I'm like, what? Wait, this is evidently not my thought. How do I get rid of this? And I ended up saying I'm going to heaven just to counter it, and I did getting rid of that. Doing that countered it even without. I wasn't energy training at the time. But religious fear-based programming, that's something entities really target. They'll do a lot. My door was broken, by the way, so there's nothing going on with my door. It's just the wind blowing. But these entities really target that because it's like a deeply ingrained fear. And I wasn't really, I guess in my head, somewhere down there, I was very deeply scared of going to hell. But they will target that because it's something that they, whatever you're really scared of. So if you're scared of being homeless or like, being completely broke, they'll target that. They'll target whatever like you're truly afraid of in the long term, right? So it's like, oh man, I don't want to, do something annoying that'll take an hour, but you do it, right? You're not really scared of that. But going to hell for all eternity, that's a damn big fear. Now don't worry, you're not going to hell for all eternity. Nobody really goes to hell. For the most part. So I wouldn't worry about that. But entities, your programming will differ to mine because they'll target whatever they believe. Like there's nothing that's off the table for them. Negative entities will show up as your dead kids and like be like, Mom, it's terrible down here in hell. And that's bloody horrifying. Don't worry though, your kids are not in hell. This is just a reptilian dressing up as whatever he can to mess with you the most, right? In general, your dead kids, they're probably doing a life review. If they were like 2, they're probably not even doing that. They just died and then they got spat back out to the Matrix again. So you don't have to worry about any family members really being in hell. Even if you're like, oh man, you might like if you wanted one of your terrible family members to go to hell, it's not really what happens because they can't feed off us. Like they can feed off us really, really well while we're here in a physical body. But in hell, without a physical body, no, they can't. So they don't put people there because they can't feed off them. They always want people here and suffering. That's at least what I see going on with hell and religious stuff in general. So, so what about those fighting the devil in the name of Jesus Christ? Here's the thing. If they're like, when I prayed to Jesus, I didn't get any help at all. The only thing that did help was I had a cross that I had energetically charged at that time. This was when I first started training for a few months, and that helped lower the targeting up quite a little bit. But it was my own energy that I put in there. In terms of Jesus, well, it depends. These entities will make the decision. Are we gonna send false white light entities to get rid of these negative entities, and they will? And then we'll use this person, as a feeding tool for us. Or is it more worthwhile, like in my case, to not help this guy at all, make him suffer as much as possible? There was one false white light thing that helped me. Now, I'm not recommending this, but a YouTuber, what's her name, because she's false white light, she had a video on shielding. It was these shields she'd made, and that was false white light energy for the most part, along with some other energy in there. But when I watched this, I was so full of negative energy. I was so targeted that this false white light energy countered the black negative energy and did help me. It truly, truly did. But this would help you significantly more because I'm not filling you with something that you're going to have to clear later on. This is positive personal energy, right? I'm not setting things up in your system, right? This will go through, work its way through. And it's not like you're trading one poison for another. Like, all right, I've got this poison. Let's drink this one to counter it. But if you're very targeted by negative energy, you'll feel like the false light energy is helping, and it can. But in the long term, you're better off just personal energy, and just stick with that. Stick with nature's energy. So, with the original Qi and Tai Chi and Qigong movements, intuitive energy training at first, yes, they were, and then they've been. The meaning got lost and it just became systemic. Yes. With that, I had it when I was doing energy training that I was inherently like doing energy movements, just moving around my whole body. And it was essentially Qigong movements. And what was going on there was my soul had stored some physical movements that would help me energy train and energetically clear. So when I was just doing stuff in my mind, I was doing these energy movements that I had never learned Qigong, but I was doing pretty much those movements and a few other movements when it was really bad for a few hours. And I was really clearing a lot. So I would say that, yes, those movements are inherently positive. Don't make the intention to connect to the Qi energy grid or anything like that, any of those energy grids. But the movements themselves done with your own positive energy can be quite beneficial. How was the energy with tarot cards or tarot readings? It's normally, I see that as there's a reptilian race that some people call them the elite Dracos. They're just blue reptilians with wings. They tend to be the ones that people, let's say you go to do a tarot reading, they'll often enter into people and do the reading then. And as I've mentioned tarot readings before, so I won't go much into that. You accidentally discover that Organite can chase ghosts away. It was entirely unexpected. Yeah, Organite, so long as you've energetically cleared it and charged it, it can be quite good. Do you think meridians and acupoints are false white light? No, I don't. I think meridians and acupuncture points are quite positive now and beneficial. Unfortunately, most of these acupuncture places you go to, there's normally a statue of Ganesh or a Buddha, and it reads false white light, and the people working there are covered in false white light. So you're getting false white light, unfortunately, coming through the acupuncture. But if you can find somewhere that doesn't have that and the people feel normal, then go ahead and do it. But meridians and stuff like that, no, those are positive, I would say. Yeah, no, Shinny, don't pray. Simi, don't pray to Jesus or any other name, all right? Use your own energy. Believe in yourself, okay? Jesus, even if he was doing positive, which is quite likely, He's not here anymore, right? You're getting a reptilian, right? When he left, when he died, they kicked him out. You're getting reptilians. Use your own energy. If you truly need help, nature's energy and God's energy as an energy grid. No people, right? No deities. Your own energy, okay? I'll probably have to say this 100 more times as I make these videos. Stick with you. Believe in yourself. Work with yourself. Yeah, Jesus left the game. Yeah, that's very much true. I'm just thinking, any other basic energy things? I will say, as a child, the most child, I was like 13. That's a child. At least now, to me, that seems like a child. The prison I went to, Port Arthur, I remember walking around and just being amazed that nobody else could see. Like, at that point, I knew nobody, like most people, couldn't see entities, but it was so obvious. Like, these guys were everywhere. This was the day. At night, it would have been like 100 times worse. And what it means is that because you can see them, it means you're energetically stronger. And that's one reason why entities target you. So, let's say you go somewhere bad with your family and they don't feel anything, nothing happens to them. Things tend to ignore them, but they see you and they go, "Oh, that guy's strong. He can see me. Hey, you can see me, right?" And then because you can see them, it's much easier for them to terrorize you, right? They can do whatever they, and especially if you're 13 and have no idea about energy defense or training, they can do whatever they want to. They can walk right over, jam their finger in their ear, jab the finger in your ear, not their ear, make all kinds of noises, rattle things, and you feel fear, and they get that energy. But because you're seeing them, you do have a starting point, but you do have a much better mid to long term game, because once you start training, you have much more potential, and you know exactly what's going on with this physical. You have a much better grasp of exactly what's going on. Can we temporarily exit the matrix? I've never done astral projection. It's just it's something I'd have to dedicate my time to, which would be time that I wouldn't be working on myself. So I tried it 2 years ago and I was too blocked. I might be able to do it now, but I'm not sure. I will just restate, because this is important. With energy and with remote viewing in particular, do not, there we go, I just remembered something I needed to say. Do not overthink it. Like, if you're trying to do something and you really, really, really focus on it, it can be harder than if you're just relaxed and doing it naturally. So just believe in yourself. Be like, I can do this, relax and do it, right? And just keep trying. If you fail a few times, it's okay. Just keep trying. With remote viewing, I'll say in that video, I used one example of a waterfall, but you can use, various places you've been to and picture yourself there and create them, and just get into the idea of being able to go somewhere, even if you have to create it. And that will help you a lot with remote viewing. Thoughts on connecting with the Taoist immortals? Do not connect with the Taoist immortals. No ascended masters, no gods. The ascended masters tend to be just reptilians dressed up as whoever, right? If they are a positive, like if they actually were a decent ascended master, I guess if we're calling that, then they got kicked out. And if they didn't, then they probably just reincarnated and they're stuck too, just like everyone else. Yeah, pray within, not out. Yes, good. Can you explain us? I'm not an astral projection guy. When I do astral projection work, then I'll explain it. Can you get false? Yes, you can get energy from a book. There are a lot of books that I can't read, but yes, quite a bit of energy does come off from books, especially. So let's say you read something from some like really false one, like guru. Yeah, that energy is just covering you. Or you have a really negative book. Yeah, that energy is covering you as well. So yes, I've talked about sleep paralysis before, so I won't go into it now. I was going to talk about with using your own energy. As I mentioned before, is it true that entities make your house dusty? I wouldn't say they make it dusty, but there's more dust is attracted to your house because of what's going on energetically, yes. With using your own energy. As I said, you can move around positive energy, and you can't really move around negative energy as it resists you. But with your own positive energy, one reason why I taught the God Bubble, which was Kelly's technique in class 4, and now if I were to read that, I teach a variation of that. But the God Bubble energy, it's essentially just a focusing technique. It's very useful for feeling your own source or your own power, right? I'll have to make a video on this later, but what I'd recommend you do with that is do the God Bubble, bring it out around you, and then picture a gold hand. This is just a focus technique. I call it the origin hand. You bring in you can picture it as a palm or a fist, whatever suits you best. Bring it in fully, and concentrate it, all that God Bubble energy, and then you picture the hand becoming larger, and then picture a quality change and it becoming more dense. You want it to be dense, and then use that with the intention to heal up your entire body. I mean, once you get a knack of moving around your own energy and energy around you, it's all very simple. It's basically second nature. It's like moving your hands. It's very, very straightforward. I don't do much to do with meridians or dantians or anything like that. Energy body and all of that. I do overall work more so than specific points. Good. Yes. Well, yeah, entities and portals can definitely be in books. That's certainly for sure. How long have I been going, by the way? I have my camera in front of my screen. An hour and a half. Oh, I meant to make this an hour? Oh, well. I'll just turn up the healing now. What do you think of Qigong? Go back 15 minutes and I talk about Qigong. So that was the basics of energy 101. I feel like I've covered all the basics. I meant to make this an hour-long video. Oh, well, I mean, when I start talking, and I'm much more relaxed in this one in particular. Last time I had whatever was going on, I was like anxious, but I think I'm pretty calm now. Next Fundamentals of Energy video will definitely be, it should be in a trauma ratio. I think that will help people a lot. But one reason why I'm not drawing mandalas, steer clear of mandalas, steer clear of sacred symbols, anything sacred symbol, no, steer clear from it. Use your own energy. Don't rely on external symbols. If I use Feng Shui for my home, will it improve the energy? Yes. Feng Shui, well, it depends. Don't use Chinese dragons or things like that, right? Then normally negative energy or false white light energy. But Feng Shui is in clearing the house, putting a pot plant in, like getting the energy clear. You're welcome, Jade. So clearing the overall house with energy, yes, but I don't know much about Feng Shui, to be honest. I don't do any Chinese stuff. Sure. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Just that I've overall cleared. So just to restate this healing video, overall energy clearing, overall energetic erasure, and just overall energy healing. That's right. So one reason why I'm not like, oh no, I need to make a Fundamentals of Energy video like once a week. Number one, I spend all my time energy training, so I wouldn't be able to do that without taking time away from that. But it's because these techniques are something that you need to practice really for at least a year, just regularly. Just keep practicing them, right? And you need to really get a mastery of the foundation. This is your foundation, right? So even if I had 20 videos up, it would not be wise to just speed through them. You want to spend a while going through each one. That's good. So I'll end the live stream. Take care. If you have, I got some emails, by the way, from people asking me questions. Just write them in the comments here, right? Just in the comments of this video, just write down any questions and I'll answer them in the next one, because I understand some people, time zone wise, this is like 2 a.m. for them, so I don't expect them to show up live. write them down there, and also write in your comments how you felt the energy worked for you and what it did. All right. I won't answer those questions, Ali, because that'll take me another 10 minutes. So take care, everybody. Enjoy your day.